I think the phrase traditional leadership style is a bit complicated because people don't really know what it means. To some degree, maybe people assume it's a sort of command and control approach, but actually the optimal leadership style varies on the situation. And 90% of the time, particularly now in organizations, command and control is definitely not optimal. So it's forgetting about what are the styles. The most important thing is about what are the actions you have to do to make things successful. And there's three things that leaders have to do, which is great task management, so prioritization, time management, delegation, communication, and feedback. Then get the best from people, and then focus that best onto what delivers success. And your style should be whatever is required to achieve that in whatever situation you may be in. It's that simple. Firm foundation task management, get the best, focus it on to what delivers success, match to the situation. It's really interesting. I've been in both the corporate world and the military world, and both of those worlds tend to think that the other one is completely different, when in fact, actually, they are very much the same. Effectively, both have to get things done on time with the resources that you have. Now, the military has to do it in a much more dynamic and dangerous environment, and therefore their ability to get the task management and element of it and the leadership element of it right has to be perfect. So they have total clarity in their communication on the big picture, on purpose, on objectives, on who does what, and above all, they have mutual trust. Now, the commercial world could learn from that, but there is one key difference. And the key difference is this, that the military operates and has to operate on a we, not me perspective for it to be successful in such dangerous environments. The commercial world tends to operate on a me and maybe a little bit of we if I'm feeling like it today. The lesson that the commercial world can learn is that all the evidence is, from all the data studies, the more the commercial world can move towards we, not me, the more successful they will be. It's simply, as an ex-military person, it's what I talk about in terms of neutralizing the org mines that we have in our organizations, i.e. the sort of landmines that are hidden around our organizations that are either blocking success or are about to blow up in our faces. And it's about how we get rid of those with a wave of people-powered explosive energy to sort of blow them away. Now, okay, we might have to dig down a little bit because there may be things we think might be going wrong, but we're not too sure. So we have to do a bit of investigation. But in many occasions, those org mines are absolutely obvious. And we just see that challenge. We just need to create and focus that energy right to blow it away. So it's more than about traditional leadership. It's about creating belief combined with totally focused, powerful action. And it sounds complex, but actually it's not, because there are really, really simple steps that you can do to make it work, as I have proven with organizations I've worked with. Well, what is interesting is that, for example, this engagement phrase, it tends to confuse people. What does it mean? Okay, let me give you a quote. Pleasure in the job puts perfection in the work. Now, people would say, oh yeah, that's a quote about employee engagement from the last couple of years. Well, actually, no, it's not. That's a quote from Aristotle 500 BC, which says that if people are happy in their jobs, they will do great work. So in fact, employee engagement isn't new because it's what's going on in our brains. And what is the most amazing thing is that when I speak to audiences, people already know how to get engagement. It's just they don't realize it. And what I get them to do in just 4 minutes is to focus in on their own personal, really powerful emotional moments in their careers when they were truly engaged. And I get them to say what was going on then. And what is amazing is when I get that list, of what everybody was doing and thinking at the point in time they were truly engaged, what I call my best boss list, it's always the same list. And it's always the same things, and it's been the same things, whether that's investment bankers in New York, top retail CEOs in Rome, the executive committee of the Myanmar Red Cross in Rangoon, or the top 50 leaders of the Chinese space program. It absolutely blows me away that there are 9 or 10 things, for example, develops me, asks for my ideas, understands I make genuine mistakes, that are totally consistent in a list of things. One, everybody already knows about. 2, they're already doing some of it anyway. And 3, it doesn't cost any money to do any more of it. And what is then amazing is when I show people that all of those simple things actually have hard data behind them that shows how powerful they are, an increase in effort, not 5%, but 25%, then that power of their own experience, they can go back to work and unleash immediately. And that is the power of what people's experience can give them. And that is the answer to engagement, not a model, but their own experience. Absolutely. I think that the comment is that organizations that were getting it right before COVID tended to get it right in COVID. Because if an organization had a good culture, had good leadership, had a good purpose, had inspired people, when COVID hit, and this is the crunch, they were able to adapt faster than organizations which did not have those things. And COVID was all about 2 key things. One, how can we adapt what we currently do so it meets the social distancing and lockdown requirements? And 2, how can we adapt for a potential significant drop in demand if we are in a sector where that is likely? If you look at what's happened, what is really interesting is often it has been smaller organizations who, because they have been smaller, have been able to adapt faster. But the downside of the smaller organization is that many of them, 4 times more than larger organizations, have gone bust because they don't have the money in the bank. But there's really interesting examples across all sectors about original thinking and doing things differently. So, for example, hospitality, in-house hospitality, moving over to takeout. Retail stores that were closed and in particular did specialist things like perfume or those sort of things would move into online, which they'd never even thought about before. Other example of adaptation, engineering companies, for example, in UK, that had a reduced demand for their engineering products, started creating weights for people to use in home training because gyms were closing. And there's all sorts of little examples like that where somebody has started thinking entrepreneurially. And that's about the culture in the organization. Does it give you the space to think differently and think non-status quo? And that's what COVID forced upon us. So COVID, whilst tragic, will have had some benefits for organizations. I think it's simple. We try and complicate, we always try and complicate things when in fact there is a simple answer. You might say it's common sense, but what I would say is this. First of all, always, when you're having an interaction with someone else, build a we, not me relationship. Remember that they are a human being as well. And if you're a leader, remember about those 3 key points: a firm foundation of task delivery and professional skills, get the best from yourself, and focus that best onto the organization's success. Above all, build trust. Out of work, I'd say exercise regularly, make sure you get sleep, make sure you eat well. And why does this work? This works. This we, not we works because it's founded in neuroscience in terms of what's going on up here. And if we are positive towards people we meet and we work with, there is an automatic system in their brains which makes them positive towards us. And on that note, I just say, if you are inquisitive, just have a little dig into the really simplest parts of neuroscience and how it powers our day-to-day relationships. Because then, if you do, you will understand that what appears to be emotional and illogical responses from other people could well be quite logical and predictable if you understand how they think and think, how would I think in that position? In my time speaking, it has been inspirational for me because I just enjoy helping people unleash their potential, be more successful at work, be more content in their home lives because they're more content at work. And it's about going out and helping as many people and organizations as possible. You know, I've spoken to well over 20,000 leaders around the world in the last few years. And it's showing them that they have the power of their own future, their own potential in their hands for them and to make their organizations more successful. And I like to help them realize that inside them, in their personal experience, is that true secret. And what inspires me is that when I've spoken to an audience, the number of people that come up and say, now I get it. Now I understand empowerment. Now I understand leadership. I didn't realize it was that simple because they've been given complex models. So it's that amazing moment. And after that, you know, a year later, I got an email from a Royal Naval officer on board a warship the other side of the world thanking me for my ideas, which he was now going to teach other officers on his warship. So it's that powers me to know that there are millions of people out there who have potential to be even better than they are. And if I can help just a few of them, it's made what I do worthwhile. Book is half finished, about to finish the book. And as of July, I have 23 podcasts coming out on how people can be more successful.